Okay, so this is the 2019 one of these overhead apportionment job costing. It's the same sort of process, just with a third sort of element thrown in, where you have to transfer service departments over to production departments. So I'll just show you how to do this as well, and it'll be the last one of these ones. Again, this came up last year, so this came up in 2019 for when I'm using these videos again in the future. This isn't that important for your leaving cert. However, I will be doing it because, for question 8, there's no reason why they couldn't throw in something like this into the question. So, well, it's most likely going to be marginal costing. I wouldn't rule this out. So, you're given a load of information: production X, production Y, totals, and so on. You're given information about the business and the volume, the floor area, number of employees, etc., etc. Then you're given information about a job. This thing here isn't going to be too important. All right, so it says calculate the overhead to be absorbed by each department, showing clearly the basis of apportionment used. So that's basically fill in the rest of this table. Okay, so we've got production X, production Y, service 1, and services 2. And so I'm just going to move that over. You're asked to show the basis, so you have to make a table called basis. Or you make a column called basis within your table. So all right, so what do? We take the numbers and we're going to split them up. So again, I'll just put in another column here. I left out the total. So we've got our 480, and that's already split up for you. So this is our materials. Now, there's obviously no materials involved in services, so you just leave them out. So the 480 is 265 and 215, and that is split up on the basis that it is given to us. So you write given there. The next one is the 420, and that's split up 280 and 140, and that is given to us as well. Okay, so that's that one done. Now the next one is the 18,000 from the machine maintenance. Now, again, you would have to think there's probably not too much machinery and services, so anyway, we'll see how it goes. But you have to split up on the basis of one of these things here: the volume in cubic meters, the floor area, the number of employees, the book value, the machine hours, and the labor hours. So whichever one of those suits best. So we're talking about machine maintenance, so it's going to be machine hours. That seems to make the most sense. So the 18,000, not 180,000, has to get split up by the basis of machine hours. So you take the 18,000, divide it by the total machine hours, so in this case 80,000 here, and you multiply then by each of the 48 and the 32. So for production X, it's by 48,000. And then obviously for production Y, it's by 32,000. So 18,000 divided by 80,000 and multiplied by 32,000. Okay, the two always have to add back up to the total. The depreciation in factory buildings. So which one best suits it? Well, the book value of the buildings is the one that most suits that. So you've got your 36,000. You're going to split that up by the book value of the building. So the book value is 900,000. So we're going to divide 36,000 by 900,000, and we're going to multiply our answer by 450. So in effect, half of the building is in production X. We take our 36,000 for Y, divide by the 900,000 again, and multiply by 225. Now, you could just say it's half of the 18,000. Obviously, 225 is half of 450, so the expense is going to be half of that again. Then we take the 150, the 36,000, divide by 900,000, and we're going to multiply by 150,000 for services 1. And then we do the same for services 2. So that's going to be 75, so it's going to be half of this. We can say it's going to be 3,000, but we'll take the number anyway. We'll do the sum anyway. 36,000 divided by 900,000, and multiply our answer by 75,000. And that's 3,000. So all of those four together add up to 36,000. So factory light and heat. If you watched the last video, we said you heat buildings by the volume. So it's by volume is going to be our given, our basis. So with 24,000, the volume is 9,000. So we're going to divide it by 9,000, and we're going to multiply by 4,500. So basically half of it is going to be 12,000. Then half of that again. So we'll take our 24,000 divided by 9,000, multiply by 2250 will be 6,000. And our services is 1,500, so it's going to be a third of this, so it's going to be 4,000. But we'll show you that again. 24,000 divided by 9 and multiply by the 15. And then the 750 is half of this, so this is obviously going to be 2,000, but we'll show the sum. So 24,000 divided by 9,000 multiplied by 750 is 2,000. Okay. Factory cleaning. Well, you generally clean by floor area. So rent would be by floor area, cleaning would be by floor area as well. So you clean the floor. So the factory cleaning is 10,000. Floor area is 2,000. So 2,000 square meters. So you take the 2,000, divide by that, and multiply by 1,000. So in effect, half of it again is for production X. 600, so it's not as straightforward this time. So 10,000 divided by 2,000 multiplied by 600 will be 3,000. Go 1/3 of that, it should be 1,000, but we'll show the sum. So 10,000 divided by 2,000 multiplied by 200 be 1,000, and then you see it's the same answer here again, 200 and 200, so it's 1,000 here again. The last one is the canteen. You do your canteen by the number of workers. So our factory canteen cost is 8,750. Okay, we don't have a number of workers here. Or do we? Oh, we do have a number of workers. So we take that 8,750, and the total number of workers in the business is 700, of which 300 work in production X. So it's going to be 3,750. You have 3,750 in production Y, it's the same number, 300 and 300. And then we'll take the 8,750 divide by 700 and multiply by 100 for that, so it's 1,250. Okay, there's none in services 2. Okay, that's completely bizarre that there's no employees in one services area, but anyway, we'll just take it that as it is. That's what they've given. So what we have to do is total these. We total all of them. And we get our marks for that. So that's part A done. Okay, part 2 of the question: transfer the services department to the production department. So for the for the sake of pricing jobs, you have to price into account your health and safety officer, you have to price into account your accountants, your secretaries, all that sort of stuff. So to do that, you have to transfer those costs, move them from these cost centers over into our production cost centers. Now, it'll always tell you the basis to do it. And that's where this little box comes up here. So it tells us that 60% for services one should go into X and 40% into Y. So we're going to take that 12,250 away and we're going to put 60% of it into X, which is 7,350, and we're going to put the 40% into Y. So that's 49. So now 7,350 plus 49 minus 12,250 is 0. So you're not, it's not adding to the overall cost of the business. So that this will still be 996,750. We do the same then for the 6,000. We take it out of services 2, and 55% of that is going into X. So we're going to take 55% of the 6,000 and put that into X. And then the remaining 27, or the remaining 45% goes into Y. That's 2700. Now it could tell you, it gives you the percentages here. There's other ways it could tell you to do that. It could tell you to do it by labor hours, or it could tell you to do it by these indirect labor hours, whatever it might be. There's a number of ways to do it, but it's straightforward enough just to move them over. So now then, when we total them up, obviously it's still 996,750, and then the rest of these, this goes up to 605,200, 391,550. These go to 0. Okay, that's the transfer of your services department 1 and 2 over to production department X and Y. All right, so then it tells us to calculate a suitable absorption rate. So you either absorb per labor hour or by machine hour. That's the rules when it comes to this sort of stuff. Basically, one will always be by machine hour and one by labor hour. So if we look and compare X and Y, if we look, machine hours for production X are 48,000 and for production Y they're 32,000. So for production department X, sorry, if you compare machine hours to machine hours to labor hours both ways actually. So for production X, the machine hours are very dominant. Okay, so 48,000 versus 10,000, and for production Y, labor hours are dominant over machine hours basically. So there's way more labor hours going into production Y than into production X. So even though they're less than the machine hours in production Y, we will use labor hours. So we'll use machine hours because they're dominant here, and we'll use labor hours because they're dominant here. So it's always one. You'll always do. So you'll always use either machine hours or labor hours, and so whichever one is more dominant. So for production X, we're going to use the machine hours. So it's 48,000. And for production Y, we're going to use the labor hours because they're dominant. Okay, and all we're doing, you saw this in the last few questions, we're just dividing them in. So the absorption rate is 605,200, and we're going to divide those by 48,000. Okay, so 1261 per hour, and then for these 391,550 divided by 30,000 gives you 13.05 per hour per labor hour. So that's per machine hour. Okay, and there are your two absorption rates. Okay, so that's that one done. Part E then is calculate the selling price of the job. So it's job 925. And we've got all these, we've got all this information here. So the costs are materials, labor, and then we're going to have our production costs, production X and production Y costs. This is all within the same business. So there are overheads. So our job, right? So we've got our direct materials. Direct materials in total are 8.5 and 3.8. Which is 12,300. We've our direct labor then. So we've 3, 4, and 4. Was that 4, 9? Which is 8,300. No, it's not. Sorry, it's only 3,000. It's not 3, 4. It's a blurt on my screen. So that's 7,900. So that's known as our prime cost in manufacturing terms. So then our overheads. Well, what have we got? We've got production X and production Y. Now, production X, we know it's 12.62 per machine hour. So for every hour the machines are on, we pay 12.62. So the machine hours are 100 for production X. So it's 12.62 by 100, which is 1262. Okay, for production department Y, we worked out that it was 13.05 per labor hour. So the labor hours for production Y are these 200. So it's multiplied by 200. So it's 13.05 by 200 would be 2610. Now, there's no fixed cost. Sometimes it'll also give a fixed cost in there for the job. There isn't, or an administration cost that you might have to add in. There's not in this case. So the job cost, or the overall production cost, is the overheads and the prime cost added together. Okay, now normally there's a profit. So it tells you there's a profit margin of 20%. That means that the cost is 80% because the selling price, margin is a percentage of sales. So the selling price has to be 100%. It's not a markup on cost, so it's a margin of sales. Margin is a percentage of sales, as you know from the ratio. So this has to be 80%. So to 24,072. So to find the profit level, divide that by 80 and multiply by 20. 5349. Was 20. So 24,072 divided by 80 multiplied by 100 will give you 30,090. Those numbers have to be wrong. So by 24,072 divided by 80, that should be. So sorry. there somewhere. Typo 6018. There you go. So that gives you your selling price of 30.09. That's all you have to do. So that's it done. Um, Explain why it's necessary to transfer service department overheads to production overheads. So we gave that answer. Service departments, they're not able to get their costs back. You can't work out what, you know, they're secondary to production basically. They're in addition to production. They are costs that exist for the business, but they're not production costs, but you do have to charge for them. So you can only recover them by adding them into the production costs so as that to become an overall cost for any given job. So that's really important. Distinguish between allocation, apportionment, and absorption. Um, so allocation is where you can say, well, that percentage of the cost is associated with that. It's what we did in part one. So it's splitting up of a cost to a department. Apportionment is where you can't specify. It's what we did in part two, where you can't work out exactly how much uh, should be given to each department. So it's when you move service firms basically to production departments. And absorption then is working out a cost per hour. So you can, it's a rate basically, so as you can work out future job costs. All right, so that's that one done. Um, Hopefully that's of some use to you as well. So